Brace for impact. Cross the line.
This is my destiny. It is the truth I see. In this world I find a way to cross the line. Everybody's doing what everybody's doing. Everybody's doing the same thing. I'll be doing what I'll be doing. I'll be doing my thing. The world spins round to the right, they say. I'll be spinning the other way. Doing what I can, doing what I know. The world's my stage and I'm the show. It is my destiny. It is the truth I seek. In this world I find a way to cross the line. No possibilities for originality. Don't be left behind. Go ahead and cross the line.
Hey now, it's Brace for Impact, and I'm your host, Mike Gilbert, and I'm going solo on that ass, but it's still the same. We're talking TNA wrestling, and I'm back. I missed last night, so I do apologize. I really did want to go last night, but had a little issue with bedtime routine, and I didn't start the actual Impact TV show till after 9. And sometimes, like I for the most part, I usually start at late, like 8:30. And then I fast forward through the commercials, which they're long. I fast forward through the commercials and some of the entrances, and I'm usually caught up. And I always am able to finish the show on time, and it's never a problem. And I have all the details in front of me. But last night I could not get that done. I didn't start it till after 9 o'clock. I didn't finish the show because I got interrupted a couple times until after 10:30, and I was just like, "There's no way." It was a little bit of a rough night, but tonight, much better night. Everybody's already in bed. I think I have like one kid awake right now, but like they're cooperating, so that's good. So things are looking up there. But I'm happy to be here tonight. We don't really have a ton of news to talk about. So if you're in the chat, and if you're watching live, and if you're in the chat, go ahead and throw down a comment, and let me know what you want to talk about. I do have some topics, but we'll be interactive. For those of you watching on YouTube, head to patreon.com/the Mike and JD show. Earlier this week, I think I did like 45 minutes with just the Patreon audience, and it was a live Q&A. And we broke down a bunch of topics, some of which I'll talk about again here too. But I already kind of covered some of the stuff on Tuesday, and it was exclusive for Patreon. I can't even, with that Patreon stuff, I can't even download it to upload it to YouTube. It's impossible. So it can only exist in YouTube, and the Patreon subscribers are able to access that content. And so it's just part of the stuff that JD and I try to do to make your subscription worthwhile, besides getting these 2 shows a week, ad free and all that stuff. Gerard is here. Yeah, Dave basically confirmed Dobby's numbers for last week, and yeah, I'm going to talk about that here in just a minute. But I think the big story of the week for TNA. Now we got the TNA and AMC coming up. I covered Final Resolution on Sunday, so I'm not going to cover that again. We also have the show, which I will get into. Obviously, that's what we do here. But I think the big news of the week for TNA, and it's exciting news, it's also a little bit scary, is that Leon Slater will be teaming with Javon Evans to take on AJ Styles and Dragon Lee on John Cena's final match on Saturday night's main event tomorrow night. Obviously, Leon Slater's stock has risen greatly, and I think that's going to be pretty awesome for him. It's going to be awesome for TNA for a little bit, because his star is going to rise significantly from being on that show. And it appears that he was handpicked by Cena, because Cena really wanted an influx of young talent on that show. Because, Javon would be one of those guys. Leon, Obafemi's on that show. Sol Ruka's on that show. So a lot of young talent he wanted them booked to give them the shine. And I think it's really cool. And I don't think it's going to be very long until we see Javon Evans on a full-time WWE deal. We saw it with Jordan Grace. We've seen it with Joe Hendry. Like, that's the pattern. They're not taking a ton of talent, but if you are really over like Joe Hendry was, or if you're ultra talented like Leon Slater and Jordan Grace, and Jordan Grace just came off like a star, and WWE catches wind of it, they're going to get you, especially for somebody like Leon Slater, whom Tony Khan would covet. I think Tony Khan would be tough to outbid in that situation. Now with this TNA partnership, they might have the inside track on securing those talents a little bit early, which is what we saw with Jordan Grace. And we saw with Joe Hendry too. Like Joe Hendry was basically full-time NXT since the summer, while still taking TNA dates, because TNA takes they do so many less dates. That was always going to be the problem with partnering with WWE is, if they have a talent that they want from your roster, they're very likely they're going to get them. But guess what? That was always the problem with WWE, whether you're partners or not. At least if you're a partnership, you get some, you get something on the back end. I mean, TNA doesn't really get this TV deal without WWE's help, right? I think the Hardy Boys played a factor in that, but the biggest factor was the WWE partnership, and that really did come to fruition with TNA. I'm not really liking the partnership here in Q4 because of the talent that TNA's had access to in the at the end of the year, which basically a bunch of scrubs. Like I think High Rise might be pretty good. I think Charlie Dempsey's actually really good. He might lack some of the charisma that WWE likes, but I think that he's really good. And if he doesn't make it in WWE, I think he could make it in TNA or AEW. I think he's that good. He's a pretty good wrestler. But this is a big deal for Leon, and you can't be anything other than excited for him. And it's like, it's like, oh damn, TNA's gonna lose Leon. But it's like, you know what? Leon is so good. They were gonna lose him anyway at the end of this contract. There was no way they were gonna be able to fight off Tony Khan. There was just no way. Because Leon Slater's a young Will Ospreay, 100%. I think I said that on Twitter, and a couple of people scoffed at that because he works for TNA. It's like, you guys are morons. You're obviously not watching the kid go. I don't think that Will Ospreay would even argue that point. And in fact, I would say at 21 years old or 22, whatever he is, he's ahead. He's a better wrestler at 22 than Will Ospreay was at 22. Will Ospreay may have been more spectacular, but I think Leon Slater's already working kind of a main event style. And he can do this. He could do everything that Will Ospreay does. I just think he's just working with the old heads at TNA, telling him to slow it down a little bit and sell more and do all that stuff. And he's like doing it. And he looks like he's ready to be a main eventer. The problem with him right now is he looks so damn young. And that might hurt him on their main roster. He might actually have to be in NXT for like 2 or 3 years. So, or in the case of Javon Evans, like I think Mark Henry said, he should be there for 15, which is wild. But I think Leon Slater is going to be like the next really big star in pro wrestling. He is going to be right up there with Will Ospreay for sure. All right, let's get to some of these chats. We got Legacy says a bunch of deals are ending this month. Who is staying? Who is going? Unfortunate rumor is that Wentz and Trey are leaving. I haven't heard that rumor, but I think it might be true. I could see them going. They've been with TNA for a long time. I know Wentz left for a little bit and then he came back. Where they would go, I bet the WWE would probably like to have them. I think Tony Khan would be foolish not to offer them a deal. Of the Rascals group, I think these two guys are like the most charismatic, and they're really good wrestlers. I think they would work in AEW. I think that they would do well in NXT. Wentz already has done pretty well in NXT, and he just left under controversy, but seems like all is forgiven. Time heals all wounds. I bet they'd like to give him another shot. But if you're TNA, I don't think you want to lose these guys because you don't really have like that many cool people on the roster. Like, you don't really have anybody that could attract the girls and the teenagers, and the Rascals are really your only acts that would do that. Like, you got Leon. I think Leon could attract some young people, but when the WWE signed the Rascal, when they signed Wentz and Desmond Xavier the first time, the idea is that they were bringing in somebody to like attract young people. I think they were still a Full Sail at the time, and that seemed to be like the idea behind it. And I get it, like that's smart. They're cool, they're hip, they're good looking dudes, a little small, but I think they would attract the young people, and it sucks. But it wouldn't shock me to see them leave for sure. And in fact, the fact that they brought like the pattern with TNA is they never bring in a new tag team or a new knockout without somebody leaving. It's like they have a quota, or like it's almost like they have like a limited number of roster spots. And so they just introduced the Righteous over the weekend, and that makes sense because probably the Rascals are leaving. And I don't see Myron Reed and Desmond Xavier being a tag team. Desmond Xavier is not signed either. I think Myron Reed sticks around. I could see Desmond Xavier sticking around too. And then Wentz and Trey going somewhere else. So let's see. George says it'll be awesome getting him with more. He's talking about Leon, getting him with more eyes, and then being able to see him in a month later on AMC for sure. Leon's deal is ending this summer. I think it ends at the end of 2026, but it would not shock me to see Leon go to the WWE in the summer. Gerard confirms what I said. He signed till October, November. I've asked about right now. WWE stance is they can get Leon whenever they want for what TNA is paying him. That can always change in short order. Let's see. Aren't all Rascals guys as good as Leon or better? No, I think that Leon's probably like they're probably better wrestlers right now, but the upside is with Leon for sure. And I think Leon's like 6'1". He's got that slender body. He could probably put on a little bit more mass, and that's why I'm saying he's like Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay is a big guy, and he was doing all those crazy junior heavyweight X Division style moves for years. And then he moved up to heavyweight years ago in New Japan. And like, he just never looked back. And he's like one of the great heavyweight wrestlers that we have in the world right now. And I think Leon's in that. I think Leon will be in that same boat. I think I see the Rascals being what they are right now, which is a fun attraction, having really good matches in the mid card, occasional tag team champions. And then of course, each guy can take turns with the X Division title. I don't ever see them being main event wrestlers. They're really good wrestlers. I just don't see them getting past the main event. None of these guys, they don't really take themselves very seriously. And that's okay. Like, you need those guys on the card too. Leon Slater does. Leon Slater's got the great backstory. He does like the emotional promos. I know Wentz can occasionally, but everybody sees it in Leon. And I don't think anybody sees it in those guys. And that's not a knock on those guys. Like some people are elite, right? Some people are really good. Some people are elite. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine. It was a football conversation. And, there's rumors that Joe Burrow wants out of Cincinnati. And, because he keeps getting injured, they're not really taking care of him. Like, the team's going nowhere. He feels like his career is probably going down the toilet. I think, same issue happened with Carson Palmer there years ago. Same issue happened with Matthew Stafford in Detroit. Joe Burrow is going through it right now. And I suggest, like, the 49ers need to go get Joe Burrow. And they're like, why? Well, they got Brock Purdy. He's good. I was like, Brock Purdy's a really good player. He's a really good quarterback. He's not elite. There's a difference. Joe Burrow is elite, right? Patrick Mahomes, elite. Lamar Jackson, elite. Josh Allen, elite. Brock Purdy's that next tier down, And so, like, would you trade him for Joe Burrow? Like, trade him a couple picks for Joe Burrow? Of course. That's kind of where I see acts like the Rascals versus an act like Leon Slater. Leon Slater's elite. Leon Slater's next level. He is a guy that, and he's 22 years old. He's a guy you can mold him into being a major star for your organization. And I in TNA, I could see him being a world champion. If he were around for a couple more years, I would put the title on him like this year for sure. Now it looks like we're probably going to lose him, so I don't think you want to do that now. you can have the conversation and see what it looks like. But yeah, I don't think you would do that now. But zero chance that they get to keep him. Okay, lots of chats here. Says he's great and will get paid whenever he leaves for sure. So far, definitely seems like the Hardys and Santana are locks to stay. I'd say Macklin said an inspiration too. Yeah, I think Macklin's in. I think Cedric Alexander's in. Inspiration seem like they're in. I don't know that Inspiration signed anything, but I think that they're sticking around. Inspiration very likely was using TNA as a springboard to get back into the WWE, and they made it back on NXT television, and it doesn't appear that WWE is all that interested, because if they were, you would know, right? So, and I'll be honest, I was excited for the Inspiration to come back to TNA, and they have been a letdown for sure. So I have not been impressed with their run in this. I liked them when they first came into TNA. I thought they were a fun act for Impact Wrestling. I thought they were good. And then they took a few years off, they come back, and it just seems like something's missing with those two. You know, maybe they're not all the way into it. I don't know. Okay. So I read an interesting article on bodyslam.net. And it was an article titled 9 Wrestlers That TNA Should Sign. And damn it, I don't have it in front of me, and I can't pull it up right now, because if I do, it'll shut down my whole browser because of the pop-up ads on Body Slam. Gerard, can you tell me the name of the guy that wrote that article, please? I'm sure that's your colleague. If you could let me know, I want to give the guy or the girl, I don't know who wrote it, I want to give the person credit for writing it, but I thought it was pretty interesting, and I want to have a conversation about it, and I'll put the link in the description, but I had to extract the names and put it into a Word document because I couldn't keep the browser open because of the pop-up ads, and I don't know how to do a pop-up blocker because I'm a fucking idiot. So it's not a knock on Body Slam, but anyway, so this was an article from Body Slam that talked about 9 wrestlers that TNA should sign, and I thought this was pretty interesting. So the first name that popped up was Miyu Yamashita. Now, Miyu has been in TNA before. She's a great wrestler. She had really good matches. I think she's had a couple matches. For whatever reason, has not signed with an American promotion. I don't know if it's a visa issue, although she's been in the States all the time, it seems, or if it's a self-driven decision, like maybe she doesn't want to sign with an American promotion. I don't know, because she's good enough to have signed with any company. She is, really, really freaking good. She's been signed with Tokyo Joshi Pro since 2013. She's a veteran. She's been in AEW, Ring of Honor. She's been in TNA, and she's had really good TNA matches. And she's been praised by WWE stars like Cody Rhodes and Natalya. So I think that she would be a great get for TNA. I really like Miyu Yamashita, and I don't understand why she hasn't made a splash on an American promotion just yet. And if you haven't seen her stuff's all over YouTube. I would strongly suggest taking a look at it. All right, the next wrestler is Titus Alexander, a indie wrestler from West Coast Pro, been in GCW, Pro Wrestling Noah. He's really good. Every time I've ever seen this kid, he's good. And you know what I should do? I'm going to go ahead, and some of these people, I'm going to try to just pull up their highlight reel. So a lot of indie wrestlers, like when you go to their Twitter account, the first thing you see, like their pinned tweet, is a highlight reel. So I'm hoping that's what Titus has. The real Titus UD on Twitter. Let's see. And no, he does not. Okay. Well, I was gonna show his highlight reel on here, but okay. George says he's one of our newer guys. His name is Jack Natchwalter. So yeah, kudos to Jack. Tony Chazard said, judging how Dreamer signs talent, unless Miyu wrestles Dreamer in a match, unlikely. Bronson and Anderson's got the opportunity because they wrestled Dreamer. That's pretty funny. I don't put that past Dreamer. All right, next is Dakota Kai, released by WWE. Despite strong in-ring ability, she could thrive in TNA's booming knockouts division. I'm gonna pump the brakes on Dakota Kai. She's a main roster star that was never like she was a part of like a faction that was pretty good, I thought, with Asuka and I think Io Sky. Was it Asuka and Io Sky? I think so. I can't remember the name of the faction, but they were over. And she'd been fired before, and Triple H brought her back. And I think she's a pretty good wrestler. It's just with some of these, like I think you want to you want to pump the brakes a little bit and see if they love wrestling enough to work in TNA, or are they coming to TNA just to get themselves back into the WWE? Dakota Kai's been fired twice, so you would think maybe she's like, hey, that ship has sailed. But if it means like we got to give up on Indy Hartwell, fucking sign Dakota Kai right now, because Indy Hartwell, that was a mistake. Dakota Kai is really good. But I like the young influx of talent that we have in the Knockouts division, so I don't know that I want to bring in someone like Dakota Kai that's got the Fed cred, because you automatically have to put her at the top and you're pushing some of these other younger talents down. Like after last night's Impact, I got no interest in seeing anybody other than Dani Luna at the top of the Knockouts division. Right. So, but if you bring in Dakota Kai, that's going to push somebody like Dani Luna down. So like I would wait on Dakota Kai and see what she's all about first. Trevor Lee is the next one. 3-time X Division champion. He's only 32 years old. So significantly younger than a lot of people they've been bringing in lately. And he's had a good indie run. What I heard is that his management company has got a high asking price. I don't know if that's true or not. That's just what I heard. So maybe that's the reason why he hasn't been brought back to TNA. You know, with the Hardy Boys there, like they're close to Trevor. They were close with his father. Obviously is a TNA original, and he has a deep history in TNA. He, was fired by the WWE. I don't think that he's a guy that the WWE is ever going to bring back. Trevor has worked a lot of the indies. He's been doing all those. He's been doing, I believe, the right things. So it seems like it's only a matter of time before they bring him back in. I'm surprised that Tony Khan has not brought him in for Ring of Honor, to be honest with you, because I think he would fit there. But as of now, Trevor Lee he's not made it anywhere. And I don't know if that's his fault or what. So, but if he wanted to come in and he were available and we got the roster spots, Trevor Lee is the guy they should go for sure. Donovan Dijak, man, the number 5 on this list is Donovan Dijak. It says after a strong NXT run, I would pump the brakes on that. And a brief main roster stint, his run ended abruptly. He's excelled on the indies. I don't know about that one. So I don't think he's excelled. And in fact, the Donovan Dijak that we saw in PWG prior to signing with the WWE and the Donovan Dijak of today, they're not the same people. He cannot go at that level anymore. A guy that's 6'5" and is super athletic is always going to get looks, but I think that Donovan Dijak should probably go all in on MLW. And if Court Bauer wants to sign him to a contract, he probably should do that because I just don't see him getting past MLW. I mean, it sounds mean, but I just don't see it. Okay. Nikki Blackheart, she's a relative newcomer to the business. I think she's been around just over a year. She's got a great look, great physique. She's got this aura about her. She's not a good wrestler yet. Again, she's only been around a year. She's really good at the social media game. And I've always said TNA should be early on talent like this rather than late. And Nikki Blackheart should be somebody that they take a flyer on. They don't have to sign her to a big money deal right away. They can sign her to a decent deal, let her continue to do indies and build her name up. But Nikki Blackheart is absolutely somebody that they should take a chance on. And just see what she's got, See what she's got. She's got the look, got the physique, got the aura. Okay, now can we turn her into a pro wrestler? Are we talented? Do we have enough coaching, and can she be coachable? Do we have what it takes to make this person into a big time pro wrestler? Somebody with that size, that physique, and that look, I think that you overlook some of the shortcomings and overlook how green she is and bring her in and just see if you can mold her into a superstar for sure. Next up is Starboy Charlie. Let me see if Starboy Charlie seems like a guy that would have a highlight reel on his Twitter. I'm disappointed in Titus Alexander. I thought he was better than that. Okay, yeah. Starboy Charlie does. So let me go ahead and share screen here. Oh, wrong button, Gilbert. Okay. Share screen. Starboy Charlie. Here we go. All right. So he's like obviously kind of like some real shit in a boy band. There we go. It does all there you go, Pele kick. All right. I can get into Starboy Charlie. He's a little guy, but I could get into him. I think him and Titus Alexander are a tag team on the Indies. I could get into that guy for sure. Okay. Now let's see. Vicious Vicky Venuto. She's debuted in 2018. She's been around. She's done stints with WWE and TNA, and actually TNA recently. And I think she's got another stint coming up soon. I think she's establishing herself on the Indies as the Queen of New Jersey, signing her with that. Yeah, so she's another person that's not great in the ring just yet. I don't. She's not bad in the ring. I did look into her before I did this. She's not bad in the ring, but she's not, like top notch either. And I don't know that she's, I don't know her, so I don't know what she's capable of, and I don't know what the upside is. But let me see. Vicious Vicky Venuto. Okay. No relation to Menudo, the boy band of the 90s. Okay, so she does not have a highlight reel. Okay, these kids are killing my bit. All right. And lastly was Bear Bronson. I think Bear Bronson's in. So I think Bear Bronson's in. Okay. So I liked the article. I found it fascinating. But there is a couple of guys that I wanted to highlight. Let's see. One of them was a guy named Kevin Blackwood. Let me see. Kevin Blackwood also, he's a DPW guy, and he is a West Coast pro guy too. And I saw him have a really good match with Kenta and Noah. And then here he is with oh, that's not a video. Is it a video? Okay. All right. Here's what here he is wrestling Steve Macklin. And I thought he looked really good against Steve. So let me see. Share screen. Boom. Here he is against Steve Macklin.
I don't either.
There you go.
I mean,
exchanging the chops.
Thousands of matches between.
He's obviously the blonde guy with the tattoos. He looks like Cody Garbrandt from
like the fighting
from
spirit
Look, he can do a little bit of the strong style. He can do the technical stuff.
Oh my goodness.
They're slapping the shit out of each other. They need to let Macklin do this shit in TNA, by the way.
I don't.
There we go. So that was just a little bit of Kevin Blackwood. I think he's pretty good. Let me see. Here's another video right here. Let's see what this is.
Blackwood now.
So there we go.
Locking in. Leg lock here.
That's not a very well executed. Let's see what he's doing here. Okay, got the forearms there.
Matt Brannigan has
There
made
you
this
go.
a psychological matchup with his antics. Kevin Blackwood says, you want to wrestle a psychological matchup? I'll give you a psychological matchup here.
All right. The guy that he's fighting looks like Lenny Lane.
Wrenching at the neck, twisting in ways a human being is simply not meant to turn.
All right. So Net Crank, I was hoping that he had a highlight reel too. But Kevin Blackwood was another guy that I wanted to highlight. I think that he would be good. I know I brought him up a couple of times. And then another guy was is also from Deadlock Pro. Now Deadlock Pro is, gone away, and that, that obviously that sucks, but was a LeBron Cozone. He's, another really good wrestler. Got a great look here. I'll just share a picture of him. So let's see. Boom. And here's LeBron Cozone. Got good size, good physique, looks good, and he's a really good wrestler. He can do the strong style stuff. He can do some of the high flying stuff, power moves. Like the guy's cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
my God. Oh, wow. Kozone
Spine buster.
took down both men. This man just spine busted it.
He's got like
Spine
he's got
busted a
charisma.
human version of
There.
Voltron.
Yep. See,
Alexander connects with a kick. Kozone back
he didn't quite
up.
hit that.
All 4 men are down.
Got him on the elbow, which is another guy who's doing it. He's got any other videos on his deal here. What else has he got? This is a 2-minute and 25-second video. What is this one? Oh, this one's not loading. Okay. Yeah, look, I got to turn the volume down on that one because it's got some music on there. But here's his highlight reel. Hey, LeBron, you need to pin this video to your profile. Make it the first thing we see. But look at that. Look at that lariat. Boom. Great lariat. I think this guy could be a star. I really do. He's not the tallest guy, but I think he's really good. And for some reason, he's being overlooked. So I think I'm into LeBron Cozone. Other talents that I wanted to name were Jordan Oliver. I think is a guy that that TNA could use. Let's see, high end Valentino Rossi. Bozilla is somebody that if I were TNA, like I would absolutely make a huge play for. Like that's somebody that I would outbid Tony Khan for. I don't think Tony Khan is going to give her like a huge contract. I would outbid for Bozilla and bring her in day one and AMC, like your first episode on AMC. And I established her as one of your top women wrestlers. Kozone was brought in for Ring of Honor ROH shows. No, ROH AEW shows. I think when they were in the Carolinas recently. All right. But yeah, so I wanted to highlight that article on Body Slam. I thought the guy did a pretty good job. That I didn't agree with every person he picked on. You guys are throwing in some more names in the chat. I appreciate it. Yeah, hell yeah, let's do it. Richard Holiday to TNA. Richard Holiday is an interesting one. He did MLW for a long time. He's a good promo. Not a great wrestler. Not a terrible wrestler. There's worse wrestlers in TNA than him, for sure. Right. Like they just had Lexus King in a match and he won. More on that later. There's worse wrestlers on WWE television right now. And he wouldn't cost you a ton of money, but he might make you some money. But the problem is he's not really a good worker. Max the Impaler, they had Max in before. Max does a whole gimmick on NWA, but yeah, Max would be cool for sure. Yeah. All right, guys. Next topic. I talked about final resolution. Gerard brought this up, but this was from Dave Meltzer. So the attendance in El Paso, TNA got some good news there. TNA held its final resolution show on December 5th in El Paso, Texas. The show was said to be okay. I agree. Nothing compared to the NXT or Ring of Honor shows. It went head-to-head with ROH and SmackDown, so the audience was probably cut down from what they usually do. On the positive side, the show drew 2,567 fans, which is more than either the NXT or the Ring of Honor show. So while NXT and Ring of Honor were probably better as far as the quality of the show, the company that did the best numbers between the three was TNA. I think TNA should be proud of that. TNA obviously has been papering a lot of late, but even so, this show had a decent advance and with a good late promotion could have gotten a paid figure somewhere near that number. I would say they probably got over 2 paid for that. That's a decent little number for them for a card that was lackluster, to say the least. For like on paper, not a great card. They had some good like matches that turned out to be really good, but they just weren't marquee. And marquee matches is what sell tickets. So I think the AMC announcement and AMC announcement really is probably what the late surge was, and just good local media and probably discounted tickets and BOGOs and all that stuff. They filled the building up, so they did a good job. So kudos to them. And they did a good job the whole weekend. I think they had a couple of thousand on Saturday night, and I think probably under 2 on Sunday. So we'll see. We'll see. There's going to be a lot of empty seats because that's a pretty big building to have 2,000 people in. But it's a good house for TNA. They do a good job with their local promotion. So kudos to them. All right. What other topic did I have? So we kicked it off with Leon, and we talked about the article that I really liked from Body Slam. We talked about the final resolution ticket sales. So tickets went on sale for Impact on AMC on January 15th and Genesis on January 17th. And tickets went on sale for the 22nd and the 23rd in Albuquerque. We don't have seat counting information just yet, so I'll probably have something for next week. Oh, one topic, and I want to throw this out to the chat. So if you're in the chat, I need you guys to cooperate here. I had somebody asked me a question on Tuesday, and I wanted to talk about it here. They said, Mike, how would you open the show, the first episode of Impact on AMC? How would you open that show? And my answer right away was pretty clear. And I was able to come to this conclusion rather quickly because it's something that I've been thinking about for a while. I would open the show with Leon Slater versus Myron Reed for the X Division Championship. I see a lot in Myron. I think he's a guy that when Leon goes, Myron can slide into that spot. I don't think Myron's a guy that AEW or WWE are looking at. That's not a knock on Myron, but just for whatever reason, they don't appear to be. He's been around a while, and he signed with TNA. Not signed. I don't think he signed yet. I think he's going to. But he came back to TNA out of necessity just because somebody got hurt, kind of like Casey Navarro, and he came in and he killed it. So I think that the first match on AMC, they should have Myron under contract, and then I would do Leon versus Myron. Leon should win but I think you want to open the show with a hot X Division match. Let those guys go 12 to 15 minutes. Fuck psychology. Just let them go crazy and say this is what nonstop action is all about. That's the way I would do it. And you got Leon coming off of the show with John Cena, the John Cena retirement show. And he's going to have that, bring that fanfare of like that audience is going to like, he's been doing it on NXT. That main roster audience, that mainstream style audience that's going to be watching, like a lot of people are going to be watching John Cena's last match. They have not watched wrestling in years because they grew up watching John Cena. They gave up on wrestling for a while. John Cena's been doing all the media. He was on Joe Rogan, Pat McAfee, obviously. He's been all over ESPN. Every major podcast he's been on promoting this thing. This is going to have a huge audience. It's going to be one of the bigger Peacock shows. Very likely. I know that it's not going to match what Saturday Night's Main Event did on NBC recently, but it's going to be one of the bigger Peacock shows that they've done. And I think it's just been really well promoted by Cena himself. And Leon's going to be on that show, and he is going to show out. So he's going to have a lot of momentum coming with him. So that's how I open the show. I get the feeling they're going to want to open with the Hardys or Mike Santana and probably open with a promo. I would open with a hot X Division match, Myron Reed versus Leon Slater, and let those guys just go out there and tear the house down for sure. We'll see what they actually do, but that's what I would do. And Myron Reed can lose that match and still make himself be a star because he's in there with a guy whose star is shining pretty fucking bright right now. A lot of people are talking about Leon. And so with Myron going in there, going toe to toe with him and hanging with him and just having a 5-star match which I don't want to get into 5-star matches, but I mean, like an excellent match. I think that makes him like the next guy in line for sure. And then when Leon leaves, like I think that's the guy that takes the X Division title from him. Because Myron could be a good heel. I like the act with him and Killer Kelly that I've seen on in short videos on Twitter. Basically, I haven't really watched a lot of Pro Wrestling Revolver, to be honest with you, but I could see them being a good act for TNA. Just being an admirer of both talents, I could see that. And that's a money-making act, a heel act that TNA should be looking into for sure. Let's see. George says Dave said about 2150 on Saturday, so in El Paso, and over 2,000 on Sunday. That's pretty good. 67 across all 3 nights. So, that's like 1 night for Bound for Glory, but 3, yeah, that's pretty good in El Paso. Silver Jackson says that would be a good first match on AMC. I agree with you, Michael. Thank you, sir. So George says they do it on PLEs all the time. You're absolutely right. The PLE almost always opens with an X Division title match or an X Division style match. What do you think about BDE? Can he go in the ring for TNA for him to be a content creator wrestler? You know what? Like this, he's got a lot of YouTube subscribers. He's a popular kid. He looks like he works hard. I got one issue with him. It's a minor issue. Brother needs to eat some carbs. A little skinny, and he's been in there with like AJ Francis, but I know that he is going to be in an X Division style match, or I think he just was. I can't remember, but so that would be like I would just tell the guy like get a good workout regimen, get your workout on, like that's what I would tell him. But I think he's got promise. He needs to keep at it, keep working at it. He's, on the right track. He's a hard worker. You could tell. And that you could tell he really loves professional wrestling. He probably doesn't even need to do pro wrestling because I bet he's making decent change in YouTube money. But I saw an ad today. I follow him on Twitter now. I saw an ad today where he's, being promoted for Wrestling Revolver. So he's out there doing the indies. I think he came from Wrestling Revolver, and that's why TNA brought him in because of the Sami Callihan connection and Sammy's kind of office now. So yeah, I think he could be pretty good for sure. Yeah. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get to the Impact recap. Of course, you guys can interrupt me at any time if you like. But the opening segment was a promo from Frankie Kazarian. So he comes to the ring. He's celebrating his victory over JDC at Final Resolution, where JDC passed out rather than tapped out. Kazarian boasted about retiring JDC and declaring himself the face of TNA as it enters the AMC era. He also said, step aside Heisenberg and step aside Daryl Dixon. I can't remember which one he said, but a couple of the other characters from AMC and said he's going to be the face. And then at that point, Mike Santana entered through the crowd. He cut Kazarian off. He had a fiery promo. He did it both in Spanish and English. And they called him a culero. They really needed some Mexican talent on this show. The fact that they had no Mexican talent where they were able to sell a couple thousand ticks a night is pretty impressive. I think it would have been a bigger and hotter crowd had they had some Mexican talent. It's like, bro, you're partners with WWE. It can't be that hard to get AAA talent. And if you can't get AAA talent, there's lots of independent Mexican wrestling talent all over Mexico that you could have got and brought them on and just had a couple of Lucha Libre showcase matches each night. I think that would have helped, and the crowd was still really good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not insulting the crowd, but I just man, you're in El Paso. Get some Mexican talent. Get some Lucha Libre. He hyped the El Paso audience, accused Kazarian of opportunistically seizing the title. So at that point, he's like, I almost respect you, but I don't. I thought that was pretty funny, and warned him to watch his back. Santana channeled his inner anger and to vow to lead TNA to victory in next week's steel cage match against the NXT Invaders, then cash in his contractual rematch to challenge Kazarian for the TNA World title at Genesis on January 17 in Dallas, Texas. All right, real quick. Can we all be adults here for just 1 second? You guys are all over the internet. So that the match is happening on January 15th instead already. Okay. So I know it's an angle that's gonna play out on television, but I hope none of you are watching this like, oh Mike, you spoiled it. It's like, no, I really didn't. Like everybody already knows. It's all over the internet, and you guys are all over the internet. So let's not pretend that I spoiled that. Okay. So right now the story is that he's gonna challenge January 17th in Dallas, Texas. Okay, here's what Mike Gilbert would do. This is what Mike would do. Okay. You do Mike Santana defeating Frankie Kazarian on the 15th on AMC. And then Nick Nemeth comes down to the ring to cash in his Money in the Bank, whatever they call it. But Mike Santana doesn't have his ass kicked yet. He's, doing pretty good. And Nemeth's like, I'm not challenging you right now, but I want the match at Genesis. I want to be the headliner for the pay-per-view. And then he challenges him for the pay-per-view. There's precedent for that. Frankie did it just last year with the Rebellion. So I think that's the move. That way you have Nemeth's a big star, and I think you're going to want him to headline the Genesis pay-per-view, and you do Mike Santana versus versus Nemeth. I think that's the way to go. Okay. Backstage promo. You got Lexus King and the NXT B team, including Stax and the High Rise and all them. They cut a backstage promo dismissing TNA as resilient but doomed. They mocked Matt Cardona as a backyard wrestler and claimed the Hardys had lost their souls despite a recent win. And Stax criticized Santino Marella as being a bad father, and the group affirmed their readiness for a steel cage match. You know what? I don't like the fact that these guys are all jobbers from NXT. That makes TNA look weak, that these guys are coming in here wreaking havoc, winning matches, winning titles because they're all geeks on NXT. But that said, I thought this was a good promo. I do think that they're entertaining. They mostly suck, but at least like in some of these instances, they're entertaining. Hey, did anybody notice that Robbie E is no longer in the group? It's like he just ditched the group, and now he's managing Tessa and Victoria Crawford. That makes me think that Robbie E is just TNA now. Like maybe they just like, you know what? Fuck it. You're in TNA now. Like that's just your job. Because he went from managing the top heel group in the company to managing Tessa Blanchard and Victoria Crawford. Just out of nowhere. Like no rhyme or reason. He just left the Invasion. And he's managing a D-level tag team. But there you go. All right. And then the first match, we get Lexus King versus Matt Cardona. The match sucked. It was not any good. I was embarrassed watching it. Lexus King stinks. And of course, Stax rolled him up. Stax rolled him up. Not Stax. Stax did the distraction. And Lexus King rolled him up. So that's how they got it. So I don't know. The whole thing was just crap. And then and now Cardona's hurt, so he's out of the main event. Oh gosh, what did I do? Shit. Hey, there was this really funny joke on Twitter, and I was trying to pull it up, so I ran a search. So I did a search for adult pineapple Cardona because somebody said I would rather shit out an adult pineapple than watch Lexus King versus Matt Cardona. But if you run a search on Twitter with adult pineapple, it's not good. It's like, don't do it. Like if you got a wife and kids, don't do that. You're going to get in trouble. I assure you. All right. But I thought that was a good joke. But, Lexus King lost a match to some toothless guy on Tuesday night in 2 minutes. And then here he is beating one of the top stars in TNA. Now he cheated. Okay. I get the story that they're telling. They got to try to make these NXT guys look a little bit strong as they're heading into the big cage match. I don't think it's working. I do think they're entertaining, but I don't think it's working to where people take them as a serious threat. Even with Stax holding that title, I don't think it's working. Everybody sees these guys as geeks, and it's going to take a long time for any of them to get that off, to get that stink off of them. Backstage, Lei Ying Lee and Xia Brookside. So Knockouts World Champion Lei Ying Lee and Xia Brookside reflected on their final resolution match where Lee retained against the Angel Warrior Ally. They expressed mutual respect and reaffirmed their bond. Tessa Blanchard, Victoria, and Mila Moore and Robert Stone interrupted, the aforementioned Robert Stone, with Blanchard trash-talking them and asserting her status as a former world champion, claiming she could take the Knockouts title at any time. Well, if that were the case, you would have done it already, you dumb. Plus, you were the Impact champion. You were never TNA champion. Shut the fuck up. All right. Now we get to the second match, Heather and M by Elegance versus Harley Hudson and Mila Grace. We finally got them on television in a tag team. They've been on Explosion. It's like, oh, why can't we get these girls on the main show? It's about damn time. And it looks like we got a few tag teams. We got Inspiration. We got the Elegance brand. We got Harley and Mila. You got Victoria Crawford and Mila Moore. Mila, I think it's Mila. So you got Mila and Mila. That's confusing. Somebody's got to change their names. That way old people like me don't get confused. But the Elegance brand was dressed as elves. They brought fake presents but withheld them, and then sparking a pre-bell brawl. M faked an ankle injury for Heather to cheap shot Hudson and missed a senton, allowing Hudson to tag Grace, who hit an inverted butterfly suplex for a near fall and a code red to eliminate M temporarily. Hudson grabbed a gift from the concierge and hit him with it. Grace rolled up Heather, but M pulled Heather on top from the floor for the pinfall. This match was okay. Harley Hudson seems a little bit green to me. Like she seemed like she was struggling a little bit. I think, Mila Grace has got some more experience. She's got that Japan experience, but just because she's green doesn't mean she didn't belong on TV. Like, get her more reps. Get this team more reps. I like the team. Would have liked to see the match to be a little bit longer, but I guess they see that they got limitations. So, but the Elegance brand stays strong. I get the feeling they're wrestling the Inspiration coming up soon. Then they went to the Bioflex report, and of course, Matt Cardona is out. Backstage, Jim Miller interviewed Rich Swann. So Swann explained turning on AJ Francis as the final resolution by hitting him with the X Division title, declaring he's tired of disrespect as a former X Division and world champion. He ended First Class. Francis ambushed Swann, stomping on him, proclaiming, if you're not First Class, you're last. So looks like that's going to be the next big feud. First Class appears to be dead, although at any point I think Francis could bring in some folks to be in his group with him. So now we get to the six-way match of the night by far, I think. Six-way scramble for X Division, and including the main event. I'll get to that. Six-way scramble for the X Division number one contendership. Cedric Alexander versus BDE. That was right. He was in this match. Jason Hotch versus Ryan Nemeth, the turkey suit guy, getting a title shot here, or getting in a number one contender match. Desmond Xavier versus Jake something. Not gonna lie, I was hoping Desmond Xavier would win this, but it went to Cedric Alexander, which tells me that Cedric's staying. But Ali joined commentary. Chaos ensued. Something shoulder blocked everyone while running the ropes. Alexander, BDE, and Xavier triple teamed with super kicks on something. Spots included Xavier's cutter on Nemeth, Hotch's suplex attempt countered into Xavier's roll up near fall, Hotch's neck breaker on Xavier or Alexander. Okay, I can't read all this shit. BDE hit a cutter on Xavier for a near fall. BDE hit a frog splash on Jake something, interrupted by Alexander's lumbar check on BDE for the pin in 10 minutes. So that was a really fun match. It was really good. And it looks like we're going to get, I would assume we're going to get Cedric Alexander at the pay-per-view and Myron Reed at AMC. That would be Mike's pick, but maybe they do Alexander at AMC, and then I don't know what they're going to do for the pay-per-view. Backstage, the system, Eddie Edwards, Brian Myers discussed testing Sinner and Saint's worthiness to replace JDC. Eddie and JDC shared a moment, JDC vowing to bring it in their Genesis match coming up. So, yeah, that'll be JDC's retirement match. It'll be JDC and Eddie Edwards at Genesis. And then backstage, Kazarian demanded Santino cancel Santana's rematch. Santino booked a 20-person battle royal next week, and the winner faces Kazarian for the title in 3 weeks, not on the AMC premiere. NXT blamed Santino for Cardona's injury, demanding a 5-on-4 steel cage match. So Stacks disrespected Ariana Grace's father, and Grace then slapped Stacks for disrespecting Santino. So they're laying the seeds. They're laying the seeds. And then we go to a good little match, the 5-minute deal with the system, Brian and Myers and Eddie Edwards versus Sinner and Saint. Are they ever going to get behind Sinner and Saint? It doesn't seem like it. I don't think they've ever won a tag team match. They were with Josh Alexander. I thought that group was cool, called the Northern Alliance or whatever it was called. And then they moved over to Eric Young, and then that didn't work. And now they're doing nothing, but here they are against Brian Myers and Eddie Edwards, and I thought they looked great. They're a little small, but I think they can get behind them. And then Matt and Jeff Hardy hyped TNA's biggest year in the AMC era and they're defending TNA against NXT. Jeff he sang his obsolete song, and they requested a passionate replacement for Cardona. At that point, the Righteous interrupt, and they're doing the snapping and the song, and the crowd just doesn't know what to make of the Righteous just yet. The Righteous kind of has that Wyatt vibe, but it's more it's like still original, but they got the Wyatt vibe and the snapping, and the crowd just isn't into it just yet. I think the production needs to help the Righteous out a little bit with that. Maybe the lights go down a little bit longer, and they, maybe at this point that's when they can bring in some of the lights and all that stuff, or have people snapping in the audience, but they're just not there yet. But I have hope that the group will get over in TNA. I don't think it's not an act that'll get over in AEW, not an act that'll get over in WWE. I think it's an act that'll get over in TNA. And when I was looking at Vincent and Dutch, I was like, these fucking guys are perfect for AMC. They're perfect. They look right out of central casting from an AMC TV show. Not just The Walking Dead. Like they have like any of the crime shows they have. Like these guys, okay, Mad Men maybe not, but like Vincent looks like a guy that would be living in a van in Albuquerque. I mean that with the utmost respect, but he does. So like I could see him on Breaking Bad, or I could see him on Walking Dead for sure. But the Righteous interrupt. Vincent and Dutch, put them over as God Among Mortals. Revolutionized tag wrestling. Yeah, they're basically just trying to get in their heads the whole time. Didn't work though. But they're trying to just, freak out the Hardy Boys. I'm surprised they didn't bring up the fact that the Righteous holds a victory over the Hardys. Or did they? I don't think they did. Next, we get an announcement. Santino Marella replaces... the one gripe I had with the Hardys and Righteous, too long. That's why I'm not really going into it. It just lasted forever, it seemed. Like, they can get in and out of these things in like 3 or 4 minutes. They don't need to go 10 minutes. But you can get to where you're going in 3. Santino came out and announced that he would be the one to replace the injured Matt Cardona in next week's Steel Cage for Team TNA. So there you go. All right, main event. We get to the dog collar match. Dani Luna versus Indy Hartwell. All right. I thought the match was okay. I didn't think that this was a great match, but what I did come away with it, irregardless of like the quality of the match, I just something was missing from the match. And that something was the blood, and then they got the blood, and I thought the blood did make the match better. If they didn't have that blood, it would have been probably like an average to bad match, but with the blood, it took an average match to be pretty good. That said, I didn't think that this was some classic like main event, but I did think that it was a star-making performance for Dani Luna, and in fact, it just reinforced my point that I made back in September when Ash by Elegance went down, that Dani Luna should have been the one to replace her. And a lot of people are like, Mike, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, blah, blah, blah. I was like, shut up. I do know what I'm talking about. I can spot talent, and I spotted in Dani Luna. I think she's great. She does great promos. She's got a great look. She's got a great character, and she can fucking hoop in the ring. She's really freaking good. And now she's out there bleeding like a stuck pig. You can tell that she loves this shit. She loves it. She just turned heel. She's a really good heel. And she's in there having like a good match with Indy Hartwell. You know how fucking hard that is? Tessa Blanchard had a bad match with Indy Hartwell. Nobody can have a good match with Indy Hartwell, except for obviously Dani Luna, right? Because the matches that she's done and with Indy have been pretty good. And she won this feud. Now, I do think that Indy will probably end up getting the last laugh at some point. I don't see a reason why they should wrestle anytime soon. If I'm booking this company, and I'm not, but if I am, at Genesis, Dani Luna beats Lei Ying Lee. And that's your new champion. Lei Ying Lee can go back to tag team. And I like Lei Ying Lee. Like, I don't think she's a bad champion at all. If she has a run, I happen to be okay with that. But I'm just like, my preference would be that Dani Luna take over the division. She should be on top of this division for sure. I think that she's really, really good. But yeah, needless to say, the match was like good, but it wasn't like great. Okay, update next week. We got steel cage match, Team TNA, Macklin, Morella, Matt and Jeff Hardy, and Mike Santana versus Lexus King, Tony D'Angelo, Stax, Brooks Jensen, and High Rise. Why is Charlie Dempsey not in the match? That's weird. Why would Lexus King be in it and not Charlie Dempsey? I don't know. So it's Lexus King, Stax, Brooks Jensen, and High Rise. Lexus King should not be in the match. Lexus King should be outside, and Charlie Dempsey should be in the match. But maybe they don't have Dempsey anymore. I mean, they already lost Robert Stone, and then maybe did they lose Dempsey already? I mean, Santana just wrestled him on Friday. Maybe he got hurt. I don't know. And then you got a 20-person battle royal. Winner gets a TNA World Title shot in 3 weeks. So the week before the AMC debut. So they'll get a shot against Frankie. Angel Warriors versus Mila Moore and Tessa Blanchard. And additionally, you got Kazarian defending the world. Oh, yeah. Okay. So that was it for all that. Let me get to the chat, and then we're going to go ahead and send this bad boy home. We did an hour tonight, and I was kind of like a little lost tonight. But we did it as a family, guys. We did it as a family. Said Little Silver Jack says, yeah, I noticed that Robbie E contract might be up. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard anything like that. Said it's weird because he still does the Evolve announcing or something like that. Okay, Alvarez did say he noticed Stax works a better match in TNA than he typically does in NXT. Well, it's because he's positioned higher in TNA. In NXT, he's a geek. But in TNA, they have him into a higher position, so they're giving him more time and they're like letting him do more. Right? But I will say I haven't seen anything that made me impressed by him. Let's see. Tessa Blanchard became the Knockouts champion in 2018. Okay, yeah, I know, dude. I'm kidding. Canelo says, Mike off the top rope, beautiful Bobby Eaton style on Tessa Blanchard. Yeah. I want to say it was, I might have stolen a joke and forgot to give credit. I think that joke was like, you were the Impact champion, you're not TNA. I think that joke was in my group chat. It might have been Dobby. It probably was God Illa, but I don't like to give him credit for anything, so it's probably Dobby that told that joke. Okay. Let's see. I like Cedric. Gerard says, I was hoping for Xavier too. We already got Ced versus Leon. And that was my thing. Like, you know, with Cedric winning that 6-way, we already saw the match with Leon. They already kind of had a feud. So I'm like, you know, we should be on to the next, you know. But Ced has been winning a lot of matches lately. That tells me that they want to keep Ced around. And they had a good match. So, I mean, that's fine. I would have liked to see Desmond and Xavier, but that tells me that Desmond's probably not sticking around. I don't know. I don't know what to make of any of the roster stuff. We'll hopefully we'll get good news on that soon. Javon Evans just beat Miz on SmackDown. Not a huge name. He is a huge name. He's a big star there. He sucks, but he's a big star. That's pretty cool that Evans heading into Saturday night's main event tomorrow. Yeah, that's pretty cool. But all right, guys, I think that's going to do it for me this time on Brace for Impact. Sorry about missing Thursday night, but I made up for it on Friday night. I am going to go and watch a little bit of television before I conk out for the evening. I hope everybody has a good weekend. Thank you for joining me. Head to patreon.com/the Mike and JD Show. Like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, mahalo.